How do I start my small business with some lending? This is actually a really good question, because the problem is most banks, most finance companies, even the ones that charge a bomb, aren't lending to people who don't have prior experience in business. So they might have something like minimum 6 months registered ABN, minimum 2 years in business, not just a registered ABN, but actually trading. These kind of things put a big barrier on how to even get started in the first place. Businesses need capital. If you're starting a delivery business, you're going to need to buy a car. You might even need to buy uniforms, invest in computer systems. All these things take money. Now, if you're going to borrow that money, as opposed to save it up and bring it in, then it's got to come from somewhere. Business loans aren't as easy as you think, even with a solid business plan. What banks are looking for is policy ticks. If you don't have the 2 years in business or the 6 months in business, depending on the lenders, unfortunately, you're just not going to get there. There's always another way, however. If you do have a house or more, you can use equity in that house in order to borrow the funds under a standard home loan, which then you roll into the business. Now, what that looks like is up to you and your accountant. Generally, it looks like you lending money to your business, which it will then pay back. And that repayment would look something like what you then owe the bank. So if you've got a home, you can open up an additional loan against the equity in that home, which is then fed into the business. There is a few cautionary notes to take here. Many lenders don't like the idea of using home lending for business purpose. They don't mind using the property for a business purpose. They just don't like calling it a home loan. So sometimes you need to organise this ahead of time, maybe before you quit your job, certainly before you quit your job, when you still have some kind of verifiable income that you can use in that application. Then you get your limit, which is undrawn, I suppose, until then you start to draw upon that and invest in your business, and that's when you can make the transition. That's one way to get it done. This is just one way to get the capital together that you need to start a business. There are, of course, many other ways, but if you're intent on borrowing the money, this can really work. Just needs some prior planning and execution. For more valuable, real-life, practical tips about finance, click the link in bio.